March 11th, 2016. This is Radio Tokyo. I'm Jonathan. I'm your host. And we do not have Brandon this week. I called him, and I did not get a response from him, so he's not going to be here. And we kind of failed on getting our Batman vs. Superman show done this week, so that might have to wait until. Actually, we'll wait until next week. I'm gonna actually make a point to drag Nick on, and we will do it Monday. But speaking of Nick, he's here, I guess, because apparently he has to be here since he's somehow involved in the show. I don't know why, but anyway, hi Nick, how are you doing tonight?
See, the reason that we can't do the Batman vs. Superman show right now is because there's something more important to talk about, which is Captain America Civil War. And, I mean, did you see the trailer? I saw the trailer. Did you see the trailer?
Of course I saw the trailer. Are you a communist?
And I mean, yes, this, this is the Spider-Man that basically everyone has been waiting for.
No! Don't give away the ending, damn it!
No, I'm giving away the ending, damn it.
No,
There is Spider-Man,
no,
and he is
no,
he
no,
is 16 and age
and
appropriate,
no,
and the costume looks amazing.
Nick,
and
blah,
yes,
blah, blah, but
yes,
look,
yes.
look, damn it. The trailer that we're supposed to talk about today, we're not talking about Captain America, we're talking about Whispers of the Old Gods, which is the new Hearthstone expansion that was announced today.
That is pretty darn exciting. I mean, wow. Blizzard, you're going back to your bread and butter. That's basically what they're doing. They're going back to their bread and butter, and thank God. I mean, I like Grand Tournament, I like the other things. They were fun. Goblins and Gnomes was fun. But if you're gonna do a World of Warcraft based game, you need the old gods and you need the Legion. And we finally get some old gods going.
This is probably my favorite announcement trailer for Hearthstone so far. I mean, I'm like you, yeah, sure, Grand Tournament's fun, but you know, what I've noticed is whenever they do the expansions for the game, all it really is just brand new cards. I mean, you don't get much, you know. The adventures like Naxxramas and Blackrock Mountain and the other one that I just forgot the name of, the
League of Explorers.
yeah, thank you. Those are fun. I really enjoy doing those. You know, because it's more interactive to me than just buying decks of cards with gold or money. Like
Yeah,
it's
it
more fun.
provides some really cool challenges and some things that you just can't do in player versus player.
And it's
And
fun, you know. But
yeah,
like to me,
I think this is a really cool mix of the two because you're going back to your lore roots here with the old gods. There's all kinds of things they can do with old gods. They were showing off Cthulhu in the preview. I'm sure there are going to be other versions of the old gods as well. And I mean, it just feels like you're going on an adventure almost.
see, the thing with this one is I'm actually not fully caught up on everything about it yet. I mean, I watched the announcement trailer, which was beautiful. It's my favorite announcement trailer for Hearthstone so far. I've already said that, but I'm gonna say it again. It's important. But I haven't like I haven't looked at a lot of the card write-ups or anything yet. Well, I did a few of them, but what I've seen, I like. I really do. I do kind of wish that, for example, one of the new legendaries is going to be Cthulhu himself. Uh, no, wait. Let me back up a second here. There will be four old gods: Cthulhu, Yogg-Saron, um, Inzoth, and I forget the other one. But and of course they're all gonna be legendaries. But I was gonna say about the Cthulhu card is I wish that they had done it a little bit differently. Uh, and by that I mean the cost of it. It's like a 10 mana card, I think. But what it does is when you play it, it deals its damage to all enemies. So it's 6 damage to all enemies. But I wish what they had done just for the hell of it is made it a 6 mana card. That way it would be 6 mana to play, 6 damage and 6 health, triple six. Just why
Actually,
not?
I think you're slightly off on that. Hold on, let me pull the card back up.
I
Uh,
just think that would have been a nice
yeah,
touch.
it's the damage randomly split among all enemies. Now, if you're looking at this card, you're like 10 mana for just 6 random damage. That sounds crazy overpriced. And the 6/6, I mean, sure, it's a legendary, but it sounds crazy overpriced, right?
It does,
The,
and
the,
that's why I'm saying
well,
I
wait,
think
wait, wait, wait. The key here is what you might not have noticed is the other cards in the deck. And basically, and I think this is a really interesting difference, is before most of Hearthstone's combos were to build up to kill someone in one person. Most winning decks have been combo decks, really. There hasn't been a deck that's really based around one monster or minion just kind of owning everything. However, from what I've seen from the preview cards, the other cards buff Cthulhu while he's in your deck or while he's in your hand. So he might not be 6/6 when you're about to play him. For instance, the Beckoner of Evil gives your Cthulhu +2/+2 wherever it is. So let's say you play 2 of those, he's now a 10/10. That does 10 damage split among all enemies when you summon him. And there's other cards like the Twilight Elder. At the end of your turn, give your Cthulhu +1/+1. So as long as he's alive, he's buffing Cthulhu. And the more you're actually going to build a deck based around one of the old gods, just fully committed to basically buffing up the old god as powerful as possible, so that when he's summoned, it just destroys everything.
See, this is why I should probably have taken the time to read more into it, but I've been stupidly busy today. From 3 o'clock this afternoon till about 7, I was making phone calls, and
Well, I mean, everyone knows I'm the Hearthstone expert, so it's fine.
no, no, I'm the Hearthstone expert. You're just
Have you ever beaten me?
your mother is a hamster.
Apologize to my mother.
I will apologize to your mother, but she's still a hamster.
No, not good enough.
She is a hamster, but she's the most adorable hamster in the world.
No. Try again.
Then fine, your mother's not a hamster, but your father smells of elderberries.
I'll accept that.
Monty Python. But yeah, for like 4 or 5 hours today, I was making phone calls, and tomorrow I gotta go do campaign stuff because I'm still running. I'm still in the running for city commissioner here where I live. And it's interesting. But one of the groups wow, I just knocked some shit off my desk. Anyway, I hope that didn't go through. Anyway, one of the groups I had to go speak with that couple weeks ago, is basically it's a club of all the business owners where I live. There's like 50 or 60 of them that are in this little special club, and they
Mm-hmm.
have this vaguely racist sounding name, like a hate group type sounding name. It's the Citizens Advisement Council or some shit like that. It's like vaguely racist, like I said. But I went to go speak to them, and I kind of took it as a good sign that they didn't really ask me anything. Like what my plans are. While I'm on the commission. Because I am 100% an outsider. And my thing, because I've talked about it on the show before about having depression, anxiety, my breathing problems and stuff. Uh, but I've committed myself to what's called the 10,000 day challenge. 10,000 days, and this is a quick explanation I can give you, okay? 10,000 days is about 30 years. I'll be 62, 63, somewhere around in there, by the time this is over. Basically, every day, you learn something new, you do something new, you improve who you are, okay? And part of that is actually the reason I'm running for city commission. Ta-da! I'm actually putting myself out there. It's to help deal with my depression, with my anxiety, and everything else. Uh, so I was
And
honest with it.
you've done a pretty good job so far. You've done a really good job so far, I'd say.
I really think I have. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but uh, I do stammer, and I'm getting to where I don't stammer as much. But I mean, Nick can tell all of you, uh, years and years ago, I wouldn't even leave my house. It was to the point where I didn't want to walk outside. I thought I was being watched everywhere I went. I had to leave a friend's high school graduation, like a younger friend's of mine's high school graduation, because I was just too damn nervous about being in the crowd. But the past 2 to 3 years, I've been pushing myself and getting out and doing things, and this is kind of the culmination of that. Now, um, I say it's not going to upset me if I lose because I actually went into this knowing I was going to lose. Didn't surprise me to begin with. But if I lose, I'm sure it's going to hurt my feelings, but I'm remaining positive because fuck it. I don't care. I'm actually putting myself out there and willingly letting people judge me, which is new for me. So tomorrow, we had this local thing here on it's going to be once a month from about March until like November or somewhere around there. And people go uptown, and there are little bit, and you can set up your own little shop uptown on this on one of the main streets in town, and sell stuff. The local businesses are going to be opening early, and there is a theater here that dates back to like the 1920s or 30s. It's an old theater, but it was really really badly damaged because the building was left abandoned for so long, and the roof caved in. I mean, it's ruined on the inside, but this local business owner has been spending a lot of time, effort, and money in cleaning it up. So tomorrow at 6 o'clock, they're lighting the marquee on the theater. It's going to be the first time it's been lit since before I was born. Okay, kind of a big deal in my hometown. So I'm going to be up there walking around. Uh, and it kind of bothers. The problem is I dropped a baseball bat in my foot today. Yay! But anyway, what I was going to say is that this little committee that I was speaking to about all the business owners, they actually endorsed my opponent like 2 days ago, and it's kind of a big endorsement because the way this group functions is every member, like I said, there's about 50 or 60 of them, will basically give him money. Like it may not be anything more than $15, $20, but when you start adding that up, it's a lot of money. And I was told, earlier this week in a phone conversation with someone who used to be in this group that that's what they do. But sure enough, they, are not going to endorse me. That's fine. I'm not a business owner. I am not a job creator. I am an outsider. I am functionally a career politician at this point in time. So that's what I've got going on for me. But I have been going to commission meetings and handing out business cards and making contacts, and I might I might accidentally win, to be honest. I've spoken with enough people and gotten enough support. I might accidentally do it.
I mean, it, you have to go through the process to find out what's gonna happen. Uh,
I do.
any way it turns out, I mean, I don't think you should. Losing would obviously suck, but there's no reason to feel bad. I'm pretty sure you have done much better than anyone would have imagined. Just
Really.
like
Well, see, like I
Bernie
said,
did in Michigan.
yeah, exactly. That was actually brought up to me as an example of how I'm doing everything right. In fact, because Bernie was projected to like everyone thought he was going to lose Michigan. Uh, and
badly by 20
yeah,
points.
and then he wound up winning, and it was uh someone here in town was telling me about that. He says, don't worry, because Bernie did so much better, and of course, Bernie winning was a genuinely huge upset for Mrs. Clinton. I mean, it was kind of a setback, and of course, she's still playing it off as a win. The Republicans are playing it off as a win for her, and like on the debate the other night. My God, I I quit watching it. I only watched part of the Democratic one, and I only watched part of the Republican one because I'm getting to the point where I'm tired of watching these things every week. It gets pretty annoying after a
I
while.
mean, after the first or second one, I pretty much saw everything I needed to see.
Well,
Um,
like,
Hillary's just been going more left to try to gather up the Democratic vote that Bernie was taking, and the Republicans are just arguing the entire time. So
well, actually,
there's not
the
much
Republican
more.
one, I watched more of it than I did the Democrat one this week. The reason is, this was the first time that they actually started getting down to brass tacks and talking about policy. I mean, apparently, like I said, we had the commission meeting last night, and I went to that.
Wait.
And
They have a policy?
yes, they actually discussed some actual things last night.
Whoa.
And it was not the Trump dick measuring contest type thing anymore. It was actually discussing what's going on, and it was interesting. It was really interesting to watch it. Um, of course, they had a few little jabs here and there, and Trump kind of grandstanded a little bit, but it was interesting. But I do want to point something out uh, about this past week. Actually, tonight, in fact, there were 32 people injured at a Trump rally that was canceled because protesters showed up and the audience began fighting with them. So 32 people are in the hospital right now because of Donald Trump. That's awesome, I guess, in a way. But earlier this week, there was a protester who was sucker punched by someone while he was being escorted out by the police. Of course, this man was arrested. The protester was arrested too, by the way. But Trump stated after it happened, of course, he was aware it was going on, and he said that uh, he would pay the legal fees for anyone who assaulted one of his protesters. And as it turns out, the man who sucker punched this guy is currently sitting in jail on a $2,500 bond. And the Trump camp has been contacted about this, and they said no, we are not responsible for his actions and will not be paying for his legal fees.
Is anyone genuinely surprised by this?
I'm not, but it's pretty small. It's a small example, but it's a pretty powerful example of exactly what you should expect from this man. Someone who's going to make you a promise, and then he does not deliver. But but
Yep.
but but truthfully, what it, I hate to admit it as a Republican, he's going to get the nomination. I'm sorry. There's next to no way that anyone else will do it, and it's to the point that I'm
Uh, uh,
actually.
uh,
Uh,
the only way would be if Rubio or Cruz dropped out right this moment and then supported the other one.
well, I mean,
If
I'm
that
I'm
happened,
just
there would be a shot.
well, it's possible, but uh, it's not something that I would be willing to put money on. Like if you were to say, I'll bet you $100 someone else get the nomination, I have to say no. I'm sorry. It's almost a sure thing at this point in time for Trump because he's got the most delegates. I mean, the only one that's really worth you know watching is actually going to be Hillary and Bernie. But I think Bernie has a distinct possibility of getting the 10%. Well, he's going to have to beat her by 10% in every other state. Okay, uh, just to get the delegates that's needed. And of course, when
Well,
you
I
get
mean,
and of course when you get the actual number of delegates you need, it's almost a guaranteed thing. Anyway, but I think it's
well, like I was saying on our past show, it was going to take a minor miracle in order to keep Bernie in the race before they hit Illinois and Ohio and Florida, and he got that miracle in Michigan. Like we said, he was supposed to be. Hillary was up by 20 points by a lot of polls, and he beat her. I mean, it's gonna take off. It's gonna take a lot more upsets, but it is possible for him to beat her. Um, it's still definitely a possibility.
I th- I okay. I'll be honest here. I do think it's almost a guarantee that she'll get the nomination, not nomination. But I sincerely doubt that Bernie is going to just give it to just give it to her willingly and just kind of not put up a fight. But I do think that
The
we are
real
in for a
key.
decent show. It's getting to the point in time where we're about to see uh, some tooth and nail stuff here.
Well, I mean, the real key is going to be this Tuesday. If he can pull off Illinois, if he can pull off Ohio, and if he can upset her or come really close in Florida, I think she's not guaranteed the nomination then. I think Bernie has a very strong chance going down the home stretch of pulling off the upset. Um, Clearly some other factors need to be accounted for, like the mess of the Democratic superdelegates. That's one of the biggest things that could possibly hurt the Democrats this year, with how anti-government everyone is and anti-establishment. Um, if the superdelegates decide a race, I think it would destroy the Democratic nominee. It would destroy Hillary. She would not win the presidential nomination. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, it's it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. But I do want to get to the topic that you tried to ruin earlier. Like basically the point of today's show. Like I said, we should have done Donald justice earlier this week, and we didn't. I'm sorry about that. But
Because there's something better on the
well, it's
horizon.
it's it's more that we were busy. But yes,
There's something
the
better
final.
on the horizon.
I had to stop and think of the word here for a second. But the final trailer for Captain America: Civil War was released like a day, 2 days ago, I think. Now, something like that, like Wednesday or Thursday.
I think so. No, I think it was yesterday, actually, wasn't it? Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
yesterday.
it was yesterday. And I'm sorry, I've had a busy day, but it was released, and um, I think the word I want to use is holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, and then Captain America go language.
I mean, yeah, it was everything I was expecting. Now, I still have a lot of reservations about Civil War because um, the reason is because part of the premise to me is really stupid. I'm sorry, but part of the premise of, oh, well, if they didn't do anything in New York, it would have been better. No, because the government would have just nuked New York, and no one's even sure if that would have worked in the first place. And basically every other example is just, no, I'm sorry. The premise of government control being the key to saving lives and superhero fights against supervillains is one of the most idiotic things I've ever heard. I'm sorry. And this is coming
It
from
is.
a Marvel fan.
It
I
is.
love
And
Marvel.
see, like, okay, here's the messed up thing, like the genuinely messed up thing. You and I are both on Team Cap for this. Like it's nothing. There's nothing wrong with hiding it. Because I'm sorry. I feel that Captain America is correct. You know,
Well, I mean,
uh,
I can't
the
even find a good argument for Team Iron Man or Iron
well,
Man.
well,
We can't.
hang on. I'm about to make the best argument that I think you can make for Team Iron Man here. Okay. I understand Tony's concern. Okay, like I completely 100% understand the concern. And the concern is, for those of you who aren't familiar with the story at this point in time, is that uh, the Avengers, the Avenger Initiative, essentially are acting on their own. They're not cooperating with any governments. They are superseding all world governments. Period. They are capable of going anywhere and doing anything. And if you remember what Tony Stark has said in at least since the first Avengers movie, well, the Iron Man 3 and then onward, basically, he said repeatedly that he has seen what else is out there. He's aware of what could possibly happen. That was the reason that he had the Iron Soldier thing, the program that became Ultron and stuff like that. That was the reason he did that. It was the idea that, hey, we need to step back and we need to protect the entire planet, okay? So what Tony is essentially arguing is that we need some kind of regulation here that is not just us, these people with these extraordinary abilities, some of which are godlike abilities. We need, someone to say, hey, look, this is okay. We're fine with you protecting us from from any problems outside the planet, which is what Shield ultimately should be. That was Tony's entire goal. Like you see in Age of Ultron, when you see helicarrier number 64, fly up to Scozzy and start evacuating people. Quicksilver asks, "Is this what Shield is?" And Captain America says, "Yes, it's what Shield should be. Shield should be about protecting you. The Avengers should be about protecting you." But what's been going on is every time the Avengers are involved in a fight, even just on their even individual members of the team are on a fight on their own, they're always trying to solve a problem that they caused. For example, Ultron. Ultron could have killed all of mankind, and he wouldn't have done it if Tony Stark had not tried to play God. Okay,
Well,
that's
wait. Is it a problem they caused or a problem that Tony caused? Because Tony has caused most of the problems in the Marvel Universe, in
yes,
my opinion.
I I know, but what I'm saying is it's essentially a problem caused by the Avengers.
No,
Whether it's hang on.
let's look at the movies. We,
No,
we, we, we have.
Nick. I'm laying the blame on the group as a whole, not just. I mean, it's. I understand most of it is single people doing things and screwing things up, but as a whole, it's the team's fault. Okay, just bear with me here on this. For example, Sokovia. Okay, that was Tony's fuck up, but uh, uh, the Hulk was involved, Banner was involved, and everyone was partially responsible for this. Okay, so just keep that in
I,
mind. So,
I don't buy
so
that. I know the Hulk is responsible. I know Iron Man is responsible. I don't see how the other ones were responsible when they had no knowledge of Tony doing what he was doing,
yes,
and were pretty pissed off at
exactly. They
Tony.
had full knowledge of him. They didn't act. You could say like, it's basically the Nuremberg defense. Okay, like for example, the Nazis or the Germans that were in and around concentration camps. They knew what was going on, but they did nothing to stop it. Okay, you're guilty as a whole. Okay, so moving on from this, because I just brought up the Nazis here, and it's a valid defense. Shut up.
I completely disagree with that.
You're welcome to disagree, but the fact remains, if you are okay, it's a law thing. If you're involved in some kind of crime, whether you're there and you're just and you're just kind of you're there, but you're not directly taking part, you're still considered guilty. You may not be as guilty, but you're still guilty. Okay, so the Avengers team as a whole has to bear the responsibility of the fuck ups for any individual member. Okay, that's all I'm getting at. So they are all actually at fault for what Tony Stark has done, or the Hulk has done, or Captain America, or anybody. Okay, and you can say all you want to. Well, it's all mostly Tony's fault. The fact is, the other team members have caused problems on their own. Okay, point being, they're all responsible for their team because they're a team. Okay. Anyway, Tony's thing, Tony Stark's concern is that the Avengers need to be held accountable for what they've done because people have died because of what they've done. Like all their problems that's been caused, people have died, and that someone needs to be held responsible. It's kind of like the idea of Dawn of Justice, where they're giving a trial to Superman for him being just an asshole and killing half people on the planet. Okay,
But
okay,
but but,
they're
but
holding
wait a
it's
minute.
the idea of being held responsible. And yes, I just essentially said that Superman is Iron Man because he kind of is in this kind of setting. But what I'm getting at is that Tony's argument is that the Avengers need to be held accountable. They need to not feel the necessity to go and do anything they can because they might cause a larger problem. So they need to be held responsible. That's his whole goal. And Captain America's stance is much more simple and less complex in this. The only person who has the capability of controlling the Avengers are themselves. They are their own check and balance system, and they need to be responsible for what they do.
See, here's my basic problem. Let's go for the Avengers movie. Oh, I'm echoing. Alright, there you go. In New York, right? How is that the Avengers' problem? Number one, there was an alien invasion. Loki was the main
Why was
antagonist
there an alien invasion?
because the government was holding a cube of power
No,
that
no,
was
no, sir, no, sir. Shield had it. How did Shield come in contact with it?
yeah.
Captain America.
No. How is that Captain America's fault? That
Do
he
you
was
not
taking
remember the
that from
Red
the
Skull?
Nazis.
No. Red Skull had it. Hydra's
Yeah.
main agent in World War II had the
Yes.
Tesseract.
No.
Hang on,
No.
shut up.
I know.
Shut up. I'm getting to this.
That's not
Shut up.
Captain America
Shut up.
taking the Tesseract.
Shut up.
Captain America
Shut up.
wasn't the one that used the Tesseract.
Shut up,
He
damn
was
it.
trying to get the Tesseract back from the Red Skull, who was
Blah,
about to
blah,
use
blah,
it
blah.
to conquer the world.
Okay, look.
So, wait, hold on. Let me finish my argument. The Tesseract was not because Steve Rogers found it and decided that this would be a great way to power the Earth or something. No, he was taking it from the Nazis and the Red Skull, who were trying to use it to make super weapons to win World War II with. Now, he obviously fell asleep. Shield took it back, and then they kept it hidden away. And then Loki decided to come steal it. And
You're
then
saying
there's
exactly what I'm going to say.
invasion.
Only I say it better. Okay? Let's back up here. The Tesseract is on Earth. How is it there? Well, the ancient Norse people worshipped, surprise, people that they called gods. Now, what that is Thor, Odin, and everyone that's we all know are not really gods. Okay, why are they there? Oh, because they had a war with the ice giants. Where did that war happen? On Earth. Okay, the ice giants came to Earth and Odin's army, including Thor, came and stopped them. Okay, the Tesseract just happens to be one of the Infinity Stones. Okay, the Infinity Stones is way out there in the galaxy. Okay, so Odin controls an Infinity Stone, and he's involved in a war. He leaves it on Earth as a pact with humans. Hitler finds out about it uh, because Hitler is all into this mythological bullshit. Hydra comes along. The Red Skull gets the Tesseract. Captain America steals it from him, or he tries to prevent him from using it as a power source. And he crashes in the ocean. Shield finds it. Shield uses that to build Shield. Uh, you build to power other things. Tony Stark is able to build his own reactor. Later on, Tony Stark's able to build his own reactor. The one that was in his chest that kept him alive. But later on, he starts adapting the powers of the Tesseract. Okay, so what happened when you had the alien invasion come along is that Tony Stark is working with Shield. Shield's working with Tony Stark, and they have the Tesseract. They're trying to use it and figure out exactly what it does. Lo and behold, Loki shows up. Who is Loki? The brother of Thor. Okay, someone from Norse mythology has come back to get an item that should not have been on the planet to begin with. Okay, this causes all kind of problems, and then lo and behold, the army of the people in space who were looking for the Infinity Stone because of Thanos show up. Okay, that's where it leads to the whole thing. If Shield had not gotten a hold of it, there wouldn't have been a fuck up. It would have been okay. If they just left it there and left it alone, everyone would be okay.
No,
but
that's not true.
no,
No, that's not true.
no. Captain
Because the
America
Red
gets
Skull
involved.
would have
But
been using
no,
it,
Captain
and
America
he
gets
would have been
involved.
powering
Captain
it.
America gets involved. I can talk louder
hold on,
than you
hold on,
can. I
hold
can
on.
talk
No,
longer.
no,
Captain America
I can
gets involved, and he
no,
tries
no,
to take it
no,
back,
no,
and then it's
no,
found by
no,
Shield, and Shield
no,
starts
no,
dicking
no,
around
no,
with it
no,
and accidentally
no,
sets
no,
off a
no,
signal, and that
no,
lets Loki
no,
know who it
no,
is that
no.
has it.
Because the Red Skull was already messing with the Tesseract, so he
Yes,
would
but
have
do you
set off a
remember when the
signal
giant
a
portal in
long
space
time
opened?
ago.
Do you remember when the portal opened in the beginning of the Avengers and
And you don't think the Red Skull would have caused the same thing in Germany?
well, see, here's the thing. Shield had been tampering with it for about 30 years at this point in time, and lo and behold, they were able to make it send off the signal. It's kind of like the signal in World of Warcraft when you kill Loken in one of the dungeons, and this big pillar of light shoots up, and then Ulduar, Algalon shows up. Same basic concept here, okay? What
Yeah, except
happens?
it would have happened anyways.
You don't know this. You don't know this at all, okay? What
It would
happened?
have
The
happened
definitive
anyways.
thing that happened was Shield was dicking around with it and activated
No.
it. Shield was messing around
This
with
is,
it.
wait. This is my whole problem with the premise of that the actions of the superheroes cause these bad situations. Because they not only probably would have happened, they almost definitively would have happened anyways without the superhero involvement, and a worse disaster would have occurred.
There is a difference between would and did. The difference in
There
this instance,
is,
the
but
difference in
you're
this instance is that Shield caused it. Okay, Shield, also known as the Avengers Initiative,
no,
caused the
but
problem.
you have to
The
separate Shield
Avengers
and the
caused the
Avengers.
problem, Nick. You
But
can
you
you can
have to
keep saying
separate
you
Shield
can
and
keep
the
saying all the
Avengers.
hypotheticals you want to, but
No, that's
the
not
reality
hypothetical.
is
You have to separate Shield and the Avengers. You
no,
cannot put them together because they are constantly separate. And they are.
nope,
Because Shield
nope,
is constantly
nope,
trying to control the
nope,
Avengers.
nope.
Where to better?
Shield switched over to the Avengers Initiative. Remember, they activated it. At that point in time, Shield becomes the Avengers. It is the support group for the Avengers, nothing else. Okay.
Well then,
That's all it is.
but
That's all it is.
Shield before no, they activated the Avengers Initiative after the events of the Tesseract and Loki. So the
No,
Avengers are
they
still not
no
responsible.
no they activated it in response to it.
It doesn't matter. There's Avengers themselves are still not responsible for the events of what
But
Shield did
the
prior
Avengers
to
are
joining
the
them.
Avengers are part of Shield. Shield is part of the Avengers. They're their support
No,
group.
that's
They provide them their base and
that is
everything.
a
You
far
cannot
too
separate
simplistic
them.
look.
It would be like
That is a
Shield
far too
semicolon the Avengers. We're talking about a pause here. Two ideas that can no longer be separated, okay? If one group fucks up, everyone fucks up because they're on a team, okay? So that's where
It's
Tony
a
Stark. That
far too simplistic
you
approach to trying to decide
yes, it is
who caused
simplistic.
what. And
It is simplistic because you have to make it that simple, okay? The
no,
reality is,
because that's the whole
that
problem
Tony
with
Stark
Iron
makes a
Man.
valid argument, okay? These people
No,
are
he
messing
does
with
not.
things that they don't understand. There are things out there that we can't comprehend. We are in danger. The Avengers need to be able to
That's
coordinate with everyone on Earth and say, look, we want to help you. We're sorry that we're screwing things up, but we're here to help. It's like we're the government.
well, what
We're
did
here
we
to help
really
you.
screw
You know
up?
it that you know at some point in time someone in the quote unquote government's here to help is probably going to start shooting at you, but you gotta have to give them some faith, okay? That's exactly what Tony Stark is asking for. Is just a little bit of trust from all the world governments. That's all he's asking for. He's not asking to take over the government. But what Captain America says is, again, a much more simpler argument. It's the fact that the only people who should be able to regulate the Avengers are the Avengers because they're the only ones who can actually compete with themselves. Okay? Anyone else who comes along
Also,
and anyone else who comes along and tries to compete is actually becoming a bad guy. And if you don't believe me,
yeah.
look at Crossbone, who's coming up in this movie.
Well, not only
Who?
that.
Oh, hey, by the way,
Wait. Also,
Crossbone happens to be the guy that Captain America beat up in the last Captain America movie. Whoops! Guess what? Captain America caused a problem.
wait. Also, look at the governments that Tony Stark is asking them to trust. The ones that, number one, tried to turn Steve Rogers into a weapon, a military weapon, to be mass produced, tried to mass produce Ant-Mans, tried to mass produce Iron Soldiers, tried to turn the Hulk into a weapon, and you realistically want the Avengers to trust them in any sort of way or fashion? And also that we're easily infiltrated by Hydra repeatedly at every level of the government,
But see, that's where it gets
including the vice
interesting.
president.
That's where it gets interesting because let's think about this. Okay, without the government, because we're talking about the United States government here, we wouldn't have had Shield. Okay, without the federal government, you don't have Shield. Without Shield, you don't have the Avengers. So that means, guess what, boys and girls? Hand in hand, reaching back across, from World War II onward, the U.S. government and the Avengers are directly linked. The government fucks up, the Avengers have to take care of it. Yes, there's reason for distrust because why would that be? Because Captain America is a liberal Democrat. That's exactly what he is. He doesn't like the idea of big government, and he likes the idea of responsibility. That's what he represents. Tony Stark would be a Republican. I'm sorry, not an older Republican, one now. One of the ideas is like, look, I like big government, but the government gets to have all of these controls and things you do. That's what he's advocating. The idea of, for example, the Patriot Act. That's what Tony Stark is saying that we need. We need to have the Patriot Act to be able to invade the lives of these powerful individuals who realistically can only stop themselves from doing bad things. That's kind of why Tony built the Hulkbuster armor. That's kind of the reason that they have Black Widow around, to try and calm him down. That's the whole purpose of it, okay?
Also, a hilarious thing is that Tony Stark is red, as in red for Republican, and Captain America is blue, as in blue for Democrat.
Yes, I mean, like, I'm seriously, That's actually verifiable in the comic books. Captain America came out, of course, during World War II. He is a Roosevelt era socialist Democrat. That's exactly what he is. I'm sorry to ruin that for everybody. He does not stand for whatever the hell you want to make him think. Like, he is not at all in favor of current like he basically he would be an Obama supporter. I'll just put it that way.
I'm a Bernie Sanders supporter.
Well, yeah, he'd be anyway. Now that we've established the precedent for civil war, I want to actually get into a little bit of a discussion about what happens in the trailer. Just like
You
not
mean
entire.
how awesome Spider-Man is?
No, fuck Spider-Man, and I have a reason for saying that. Uh, the
No,
tra-
you squealed when you saw him. You
the
literally squealed.
I actually did because it was cool. But I'm gonna get to that, and then I'll explain why Spider-Man's a dick. Okay. Um, the trailer opens uh with what looks like Antarctica or somewhere like that. I'm not sure where it's at. But it's where apparently they have been keeping the Winter Soldier, and you see this big iron door or metal door opening, and then there's this station breakup. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, so ideally when this is edited, it will just merge between here and now. Anyway, what I was gonna say is that apparently we're seeing where the Winter Soldier is, and little base, and it's this most epic moment where it looks like Darth Vader in his chamber. But then the trailer cuts over to seeing scene of New York, and if I can bring it up faster than I'm thinking about it, we have the scene of anyway. You have the uh, I put it blank. Yeah, Washington D.C. With the Triskelion, which is apparently destroyed, and then Sokovia. And General Thunderbolt is giving everybody a lecture about uh, the problems the Avengers are all causing because the government's acknowledged that the Avengers are causing problems. Hint, 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 hint. Uh, Tony Stark comes in and he's like, "That's why I'm here." And then you have this amazing scene. Well, it's not. It's a little later, but it's him responding essentially what I guess is responding to what's actually being done by the Winter Soldier because apparently he's been released and he's becoming a terrorist. And then you have the scene where Tony Stark skydives out of a helicopter, and I kind of want to pause and admit, this is one of my favorite moments in the trailer. Don't you think so, Nick?
It looks really cool. It does. It just looks badass.
I actually wish that we had a clip of just that one moment where he's jumping out of the helicopter, but instead we have a screen cap, and then you get to see the new Shield headquarters, which I actually don't know the name of it, but it's underwater and it rises up out of the ocean, which is badass. But it's that circular thing with the double doors on top, and then the next few scenes are Tony Stark inside of it, and there's these cages, like it's this round room with a bunch of cages around it, and I'm actually not sure what goes on there, I'm pretty sure it's the new headquarters for something. I mean, it only makes sense for it to be something. I mean,
It sort of looks like a prison almost.
it does, and I kind of think it might be a prison for anyone the Avengers capture. I don't know, but there is, of course, Captain America who chasing Black Panther, and Black Panther is actually chasing the Winter Soldier. But Bucky Barnes at this point in time. Very interesting. And then the next few sequences is uh, Tony Stark actually fighting with Bucky, and Tony has a watch now that can turn into an Iron Man. You know, one of the Iron Man suit. Blah, 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 blah. I'll get it out in a moment. One of the Iron Man gloves. Okay, and he basically stops a shot from Bucky's gun, and then you see some of the fight sequence, uh, including a specific image. Nick, do you want to talk about uh, the possible death of War Machine?
I mean, I'm really curious about how this happened. I imagine, uh, this is just speculation, is that the Winter Soldier is going to rip out the core from War Machine, and that's how he's going to fall down. Now the question is he dead or not dead, like Nick Fury was earlier? I'm not sure.
Well, see, okay. Here's the thing about this. The trailer actually does not show Bucky rip. We know there's a point in time where he tries to actually rip out the core of Iron Man's armor. You know, we discussed that the last time we talked about it. But what you see in this is War Machine being shot directly in the chest, and like you can see it like a beam type weapon shooting him, and it blows up, and then he crashes, and that's when Iron Man, pulls his helmet off, and you
Well,
see.
I'm curious as to what actually shot him. I don't know what weapon would do that.
I actually don't know, but well, it actually could be Scarlet Witch. I'm not sure, but anyway, uh, it is at the airport type thing, so this has got to be taking place during the big actual fight where you see both teams kind of square off and then fight. You know what I mean? Uh, but uh, there's an after shot of Bucky being there, and then um, a little short sequence where you actually get to see Black Panther up close and actually get some more detail on his costume. And Bucky is wearing the same outfit that he was wearing when he fought Tony. So this is probably somewhere at the same point in time. And I want to pause for a second and just address uh, the well, I'm sorry, I didn't have that next. Oh, it was backwards. I'm sorry about that. So you guys are actually seeing this out of order. You're supposed to be seeing a still shot of Black Panther's armor. Instead, apparently, I had Hawkeye up. But Hawkeye comes in later in a moment. Uh, but this is the first time you actually get to see uh, uh, Black Panther up close, and his armor, his suit is beautiful. And if you look at it, look around where he's at, it kind of looks like he is in the airport sequence too. Hang on, hang on. Sorry about that. Apparently, I had turned off the actual audio, so I'm sorry about it. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Black Panther is actually the closest thing in Marvel to DC's version of Batman, I would say. A lot of people compare Iron Man and Batman, but really Black Panther is a lot closer.
Like outfit wise, yes, he does look like Batman. He could be Batman. But I do
No, no,
want
no,
to
it's
go
not
back.
just outfit-wise. The actual character himself too. He has a variety of degrees, skilled martial artist in almost everything, lots of money, no real superpowers. It's really interesting.
Okay, I do want to go back a minute and talk about Hawkeye, because and I just realized I've got this out of order again. I'm sorry about that. You're supposed to be saying Scarlet Witch fucking up Vision. I mean, that's really the only thing I can think of to describe it, because Vision is falling down, like collapsing onto his knees and on the floor, and she's just standing over him, just wielding her Scarlet Witch powers, and this is something I'm actually very, very, very interested in seeing because if you remember from Age of Ultron, uh, Scarlet Witch was actually able to essentially read Vision's mind, so she knows that there is, I guess, not what we would call a soul in a person, but that's what he has. Like he's an actual, uh, essentially living, breathing entity, and it's really interesting to see the interaction between Vision and Scarlet Witch, and I'm actually excited to see her, you know, kind of mess with him.
I mean, Scarlet Witch is one of the most powerful superheroes in all of Marvel or DC. It'll be really interesting to see how far they take her power.
Well, see, okay, one of the things I want to note here is on the screenshot. I'm not sure whether this is something that's on the floor or not, but it looks like a portion of Vision is actually disintegrating, like around his leg. There's these little crumbly pieces. So I kind of wonder if she's going to basically just rip him apart. Uh, but I do want to mention Hawkeye for a minute. When you see him shoot his arrow in the movie, that's a very, very, very important thing to remember because that's coming up here in a second. But I do want to mention that yes, you do get to see Crossbone. You do get to see his group of soldiers that are with him. Earlier when I mentioned the last Captain America movie and how Crossbone was the was a Shield uh, member who had been recruited by Hydra. Captain America beat him up and nearly killed him, in fact. But Crossbone has been brought back, and it's easy to hypothesize that the soldiers that you see Crossbone fighting with, because there actually is a sequence where you see Crossbone standing behind the soldiers that look like they're breaking into some kind of compound when Black Widow fights them. Uh, it's kind of easy to imagine that those are actually the same Hydra recruited soldiers that were fighting Captain America, and rather trying to kill Captain America to begin with. It's just easier for me
Yeah,
to assume it's
it
them.
seems likely. It seems likely.
But I do want to harken back to Hawkeye for a minute because the sequence where you see him shoot the arrow, uh, it seems to me that apparently he is the now delivery system for Ant-Man. Because Ant-Man is in an arrow, and it breaks away, and he jumps out, and he flies. Of course, he's shrunk down, and he flies to the air through Tony Stark's fingers and lands on his arm and starts running up his arm. So one can only imagine how badly Iron Man is going to get fucked up.
I mean, it's going to be like all the fights are going to be great. And have you seen the Ant-Man movie?
Yes.
I mean, they had some of the best fight scenes I have ever seen in any movie, any genre. They were completely amazing.
It actually it was a hell of a lot better than what I think most people give it credit for. I mean, it like when I watched it, I was aware, no one really liked the Ant movie. I'm like, okay, why? Well, it just wasn't any good. It wasn't what I expected. Paul Rudd is da da da. I'm like, okay, I watched it. Holy shit, it was good. Like it's probably one of my
It
favorite
was.
standalone movies. I mean,
It
I
was
mean,
great. It was a great superhero movie.
really,
It
other
was
than Winter Soldier, I think it's probably my favorite in the MCU so far. And I love the Winter Soldier movie. It is it's kind of like the Empire Strikes Back is to Star Wars. It's the most amazing thing I've seen. But Ant Man is pretty damn awesome. But we do have some shots where you see both sides, lining up and running. Um, so apparently for Team Cap, of course, we have Captain America. we have Bucky, we have Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, and then Falcon. And if I can bring it up, I'm sorry, there's actually a lot of things here to go through. You don't get to see all of Team Iron Man in this. But of course, you see Iron Man, he's already lifting off. Then Black Widow. So Black Widow and Hawkeye, best friends. He's named a child after her. It's terrible what's going to happen. They're going to have to fight one another. And then you see War Machine starting to fly, and then Black Panther. And then the next shot is kind of the defining shot for what Civil War is all about to me. Like it's ripped apart the Avengers, okay? So on the left-hand side of your screen right now, you're seeing the very back, or the farthest left to you is actually Vision, and then the other two flying are War Machine, and then Iron Man is up the highest. Black Widow and Black Panther are running. On the right-hand side of your screen, you have Falcon, and way up there, almost equal with Iron Man, Scarlet Witch. Everyone else on the ground, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, Captain America, and Bucky. I mean, it's the most defining shot to me. Like one side is almost entirely aerial based, the other side is like it. This is kind of like one of those Autobots and Decepticons images, or G.I. Joe
Yeah.
versus Cobra, where you see the sides pairing off, and you realize in that moment exactly the strengths and weaknesses of the other side.
It's it's pretty fun.
And like, what's it like?
And then
And the reason I'm making such a big deal about the strength and weaknesses here is like, again, Team Iron Man is the majority of them are actually capable of flight, so they're going to have a very distinct. I mean, really the only two ranged individuals that Captain America is going to have is, of course, Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch, and Scarlet Witch is one of their
they
flyers.
and they also have a much better weaponry, much better armored. Even the Black Panther, he has vibranium throughout his armor. The only sort of vulnerable one would be Black Widow, honestly.
Well, no.
Um,
Okay. Out of this, Black Widow is entirely her and Hawkeye are entirely vulnerable. There is nothing special about them. They're just normal people. That's all they are.
yeah, but I mean, the rest of Team Iron Man is heavy armor, heavy weaponry, um, compared to Captain America's side, which is mostly just people.
Well,
Um,
okay, it is okay, but okay, you have Bucky, who is essentially a cyborg. Ant-Man is capable of growing and shrinking, and of course, so it's going to have um, it. If you disable his suit, he becomes a normal person, But for what he is right now, he's uh, pretty powerful. Captain America
yeah, but I mean,
is
if you look at Falcon, if you look at Bucky, if you look at Captain America, if you look at Hawkeye, they don't have any real special powers.
well, they okay. I was gonna say is two of them are enhanced people. Uh, really, the uh, the Falcon, if he can't fly, he's screwed. Okay. If Ant Man can't shrink and can't grow and shrink, he's screwed. If Hawkeye is killed, Hawkeye is killed. I mean, Hawkeye is what he's what he basically, you see him, he's what you get. There was the joke in Age of Ultron where he's like, we're fighting giant robots and I have a bow and arrow. It's kind of hilarious when you realize exactly his limitations. I mean, he's upwards of 40. He has a bow and arrow, and he's fighting people who are in armored suits and can fly and shoot freaking laser beams from their eyes
Yeah,
and their hands and their chest and their
yeah,
feet.
and missiles,
Yeah,
and
and
missiles.
missiles out of their shoulders.
So it's kind of a funny sight almost when you see these two groups charging at each other. It's the only one with really special powers on, or that can really maybe stand up to Iron Man's side is Scarlet Witch. Other than that, I mean, it,
We'll see. Okay,
it's just
here's the problem with Scarlet Witch. She has to be awake for her powers to function. If they hit her and they knock her ass down to the ground and she's put into a coma, well, there she goes. I mean, like, she is entirely dependent on being able to be awake. Oh, and the important thing, uh, whoever it is that she's using her powers on has got to be susceptible to it. So in other words, she can sit here and shoot the little energy blast all she wants to, but if she's knocked out, you're screwed, like all the way around. Um, and we know from from earlier, one of the shots we looked at earlier, she is capable of screwing with Vision. Okay, well, Vision can fly. Vision can shoot laser beams. I don't know what else they're going to give Vision the ability to do, but he's basically her counter in this. Um, I would say the counter for Captain America would probably be Black
Iron Man.
Panther.
It has to be. Well, no,
Oh,
it has to be Iron Man just because of the matchup.
well, I'm okay. Like, I'm talking about this one sequence right here. Like the one, like really, it makes the most sense to me for the counter to Captain America to be Black Panther. Because he's super strong. And he's got they're both wielding vibranium, for God's sakes. Okay, it's kind of obvious, but I mean, it's a weird matchup, and like I said, it's very much Autobots versus Decepticons. And the reason I say that is because originally the Decepticons were mostly aerial, like aerial based. They were almost all planes, and the Autobots were
Yep.
all on the ground. So if you look at this, you have a few flyers on Team Cap, but but they're incredibly situational ones. Because if Falcon's armor is damaged, then he's screwed, and if Scarlet Witch is
Not
knocked
only
down,
that, if you
she's screwed.
compared Falcon's armor to Iron Man's armor, I mean, Falcon is very exposed, very easily taken down. Iron Man has much more maneuverability, honestly.
And in fact, actually in Winter Soldier, when you first see Falcon, really do anything, he actually is taken out of the fight very, very easily. I mean, it's not hard to take him down.
And I love Falcon, he's a cool hero, but I mean, it just shows kind of Captain America's side's desperation in this fight almost, I would say.
He's
Um,
okay, okay.
they're outmatched. They're honestly outmatched.
Look at it this way. Look at it this way. The majority of Captain America's team, or the ones that are in a fight with him, are kind of like Aquaman if he's in the middle of the Sahara or anywhere that's on dry land. Sure, he may be able to, to kind of, jump and semi-fly long distances. Sure, he may be super strong, but, without the water thing to back him up, he's
Yeah,
kind of screwed. Kind of.
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like something that most people would think about, and whenever I take it back. I think that is why the average person cannot stand Aquaman. They think he's stupid, and he is kind of dumb. Ultimately, when you think about it, but for 75% of the Earth's surface, he's a badass. It's just the last quarter where he's kind of iffy. And looking at this is I can kind of see that kind of comparison. For most of the fight, they're kind of screwed. But about a quarter of the fight, they're good.
Yeah, I mean, Iron Man should, and it shows because it takes Iron Man and Bucky in order, as we see in other trailers, to really fight Iron Man. It took the both of them working together and sharing Captain Shield too, in order to kind of bring him down to his knees.
Okay, but okay.
I mean,
Here's the thing. We're about to get in the last couple of screen caps I took of this. And okay, deep breath. I want to say one thing. You ready for this?
Underoos.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, he's in the trailer at the end. He caught Cap by surprise, stole the shield and emoted his eyes. Look out! Iron Man's got Spider-Man! And yes, Underoos is apparently how Captain America I'm sorry, Iron Man calls for him. It's really one of the greatest things. I like. I mean, he's only on screen for about 2 seconds, but it sets up this precedent that Spider-Man is going to be a complete badass. I mean, just it.
I even loved his line where he's like, "Hi guys." He's like, he's kind of nervous. He's meeting all these heroes for the first time. He's a 16-year-old boy finally, um, in
Hey,
a
hey, hey,
world
hey,
that's.
hey! Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I'm not. We're not even
I am
visually.
too.
We are not
I'm
even
too
visually
excited.
done setting up Spider-Man's intro here. You know, like
I'm too excited.
okay, look, it's fine to be excited, but we need to finish setting up Spider-Man's intro, okay? So first off, I want to start with the Underoos thing, okay? Originally, when I watched it, I thought Tony was saying on the roof, but no. After repeated viewings, he's saying Underoos. So he's clearly establishing, the age of Spider-Man.
And making fun of his costume too.
Yeah, kind of. But yes, like Nick has already given away, yes, Spider-Man is young. He's 16 or 17 years old. The best part is, you know what? I'll save what I was going to say till we get to the end. But I want to talk about the setup for Spider-Man. So Tony Stark yells Underoos, and then you have just really rapidly quick Captain America looking up, a spider web coming down and grabbing his shield. Okay, it grabs the shield and it just yanks it out of his grasp. And again, this is all done very quickly. The shield is grabbed. His hands get wrapped up, and I've got a close-up shot here in a second. I'm bringing it up right now of his hands. So you see, he's been easily disabled by Spider-Man. So think about this for a second. The world's greatest soldier has been disabled by a 16-year-old. A 16-year-old who is an allegory for puberty.
I mean, it's just it's the Spider-Man we all have wanted for so long, and it's really exciting. I'm excited.
I'm sorry, Tobey Maguire. You're neither the Spider-Man that we needed or the Spider-Man that we deserved. But it's after it's after you see.
I like Tobey Maguire still as Spider-Man. I thought he did good with what they gave him, but it was not Spider-Man. It was not the story of Spider-Man. It was the story of an adult-ish Spider-Man with dealing with
Which
things
is
that
exactly
he
what you got
shouldn't have to deal
in
with.
the Amazing Spider-Man movie. You got that same thing. But it's at the very
Which
very
was
end.
worse.
Yeah, it's at the very very end where we actually get to see Spider-Man's costume, and looking at him, sure, it's got some CGI in it. It's kind of impossible to have Spider-Man without CGI. But I just want to take a moment and acknowledge it's comic accurate. Look at his costume, goddammit. It is not the ones that we've gotten where it's that thick rubbery armor looking thing. Like it's smooth to his skin. Okay, you can see where his the wrinkles where his legs are moving and everything. It looks good. It really look like it. It looks just like
It's
it's out of the
beautiful.
comic books. It really does.
It is beautiful.
Uh, and I I kind of wished I had gotten some more screenshots of this. But the spider image on his chest is directly from the comic books. Like it's the small one that's on his chest, and it's not like like the big body covering thing that you had in both movies. He even has the spider emblem. the what's referred to as the tick style spider emblem on his back. Okay, the black lines I do know showed up in one version of the suit. I just don't remember off the top of my head. I wouldn't. I really would not have been surprised if they had even given him the spider webbing underneath his arms. Like that would have been the coolest thing to me. Because other than that, and yes, Spider-Man at one point in time did actually have webbing underneath his arms. Uh, it's cool to this kind of validates the current MCU. Like this makes up for
And
every bad Spider-Man thing in
also,
the past.
I mean, I also love how he's holding Captain's shield because he is the future of the Avengers. Um, at least he's always been hinted at becoming the future of the Avengers. In any Marvel universe or story or age, they always hint at how Spider-Man's going to eventually take over the Avengers from Captain and Iron Man. And seeing him holding the shield like that makes you think, oh, this is the future leader of the Avengers. And I really hope they actually carry through with that for the first time ever.
Well, see, I don't know if they're going to give it to. Okay, if they follow the comics, uh, and I really hate to say this, but I realize that for them to have the cohesion for the Avengers they're going to need because they're going to bring in the Guardians and everything else. You're going to have some people step down. You know, like whenever you see at the end of Age of Ultron, you know, we've had Avengers who have kind of left. Basically, you know, they're not directly involved. Okay, I'm not gonna say who. Watch the fucking movie and figure it out on your own. Okay. So you have the new teams set up. Okay. And yes, Spider-Man does represent the future. Ant-Man represents the future. You know, War Machine, Vision, everything else is the future. It's oncoming. In fact, if you look at just the ones who are going to be fighting in this, you only have four who are from the original Avengers Initiative: Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, and Hawkeye. That's it. Everyone else is new. Spider-Man coming in is, of course, entirely new. Um, but the beautiful part about having Spider-Man in this is that we are getting an already established Spider-Man. Okay, this is what we're getting with Ben Affleck's Batman and Dawn of Justice, an already established Batman. So we're gonna have Spider-Man who's apparently been being Spider-Man for X amount of time, and this is where I think the tie-in to the Andrew Garfield movies, you know, like especially the one where they had him fighting the lizard, that was around the time of the Chitauri invasion of New York. Okay, so that was supposed to have tied into there. And I'm pretty damn sure they're going to kind of reference that in the MCU. Um, by
I'm
the
not
way,
sure. I think they're going to do a brand new start for Spider-Man. Clearly he's been Spider-Maning for a while now.
yes.
But
It's with the way he's introduced, it kind of sets a precedence for him having been Spider-Man for a while. Okay.
well, actually, what I think is going to happen is I think you're going to take it as Spider-Man will actually be the focal point of the Civil War, because what the Civil War is about is what's going to happen to the next generation of heroes, and we will basically see Iron Man and Captain America trying to convince Spider-Man of what the best approach for being a hero will be in the future. I honestly think that's the best direction they can take Civil War, and probably the only direction they can really take Civil War and have it work.
it is the only way that can do that. I mean, it's really you're going to have, and I hate to say this, but I'm willing to say this is going to be the last time the last major time we're going to see Black Widow and Hawkeye, except for in administrative fashion. And I'm pretty sure at some point in time, Captain America is going to step down and maybe become um, essentially replace Nick Fury, which is what he does in the comics. Okay, he does replace him, and Tony Stark retires. So I think this is probably going to be, if not the last hurrah for the last four that are remaining here, uh, but it's going to be pretty damn close to it. So I think it's going to set up the precedence that
Well,
the Avengers are going to change, and they are going to get ready to. Well, hang on. Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
well, I do think for Infinity War, we'll see a lot of people back. But I think the main Avengers team is definitely going to move on.
Okay, well, here's the thing for Infinity War. That was actually discussed this past week as well. There's going to be 32 characters, 32 named fucking characters in there that are either heroes or villains. So that leaves a world of possibilities here. But since we know, with the Infinity War, it's going to be the bringing in of the Guardians of the Galaxy and then everyone else in the MCU, which realistically they could probably work the Fantastic Four back into this. Now I know we're not getting a second Fantastic Four movie, but it's possible. We might even
It would
maybe
depend
get some
If
Deadpool running.
Fox is willing to work. If Fox is willing to work with Marvel, because it's a really big question. If Fox is willing to work with Marvel, like Sony's been willing to work with Marvel, and if this is successful and Spider-Man's movie is successful, I could see Fox being willing to finally work with Marvel and Disney.
Well, okay, that's where I have a lot of concern. I mean, we're talking about essentially properties because we've discussed this before. Marvel fucked up. Okay, Marvel basically, no, actually not basically. Marvel completely fucked up. They sold their
Yeah,
property rights to their characters to 97 different people. Okay,
and I
whatever it
mean,
is.
I can kind of understand back then because no one ever had the vision of doing something on this scale of bringing the entire Marvel universe to the cinematic screen. But I mean, it was just it now that it's happened and now that it's going on, you can clearly see where it's a problem. Um, the X-Men are missing, Wolverine's clearly missing, Fantastic Four are missing, Spider-Man was missing until just now. I mean, if Fox is willing to really work with Disney and Marvel and bring everything back together, it would be incredibly amazing.
I kind of hope they do, especially with the rather large ensemble cast we know we're gonna have for Infinity War. But back to what we were saying about Spider-Man stepping
Well,
in.
actually, what they could do is they could use Infinity War, after the second one, to bind the two universes together.
It's possible. But back to what we were saying about Spider-Man showing up. I do think that this is kind of intended to represent exactly exactly what the future goal for the MCU is. We're definitely going to be seeing at least with one character a changing of the guard type thing taking place, and I'm actually okay with that. I really am. I mean, we've already had one with Age of Ultron, but I do think that on a much larger scale, we're going to be seeing some people either being killed off, or we're going to see some people actually stepping down. And
And this is, if you remember some of our previous discussions, what I've always said needs to happen. There needs to be finality in these movies. They need to move on from these characters at some point. I mean, I love Captain America, I love Iron Man, I love the Hulk, I love Black Widow and Hawkeye and everyone else. But eventually they have to move past them and tell new stories or end their stories. There needs to be closure.
which is what I think we're going to get. And speaking of closure, we're up almost to an hour and a half, and I promised to explain that Spider-Man is a spider dick. in this. So I actually found this on Facebook earlier. It's a copy of the Daily Bugle, New York's finest newspaper. The headline is, of course, Spider-Man with his with. By the way, he has emoting eyes. He has Deadpool eyes. The eyes that can narrow down. Anyway, the headline is Spider Thief robs aging World War II veteran.
That is great. That is absolutely perfect.
Like I said, Spider-Man's a dick. He's not only assaulting a World War II veteran, but he does steal from him. So damn it, Spider-Man.
Yeah. Spider-Man is a hero.
Oh, actually, speaking of Spider-Man, J. Jonah Jameson, who I cannot remember the actor's name who portrayed him in the Tobey Maguire movies, even though I should know it because he's one of the most amazing actors ever. Apparently, has been offered the role of Commissioner Gordon in future Batman movies. Okay, this is important, and we're gonna get into this more later next week when we actually discuss Dawn of Justice because there's a lot of things I want to bring up about it. But apparently he's been uh, offered the role for future purposes.
Well, I want to see him back as J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man
Oh
movie.
goddamn, I do.
And he said
Shit.
he said he's willing to do it. He said he is willing to do it.
He is.
And
He out of everything that you can say that the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies get right, him, like easily number one. I cannot see anyone else as J. Jonah Jameson other than him.
I really can't. He was perfect. He was the absolute perfect person. Just like Robert Downey Jr. is perfect as Iron
Yes,
Man.
yes. And Chris Evans is perfect as like really I can never see, oh, sorry about that. I cannot envision certain actors ever having their roles replaced because they're so good. Like for example, um, Heath
Ryan
Ledger.
Reynolds as Deadpool.
Yeah, God Almighty, I will shoot myself if anyone else is ever cast as Deadpool. I will. Holy fuck, that movie's perfect. But what I was gonna say is, um, it's actually kind of how I feel about Christian Bale's Batman. I mean, like I think that's probably the closest thing to the best Batman we're going to get. Do I have problems with him? Sure, but I actually like the way he portrayed Batman. It's definitely how people feel about Heath Ledger as the Joker. Yeah, that was a command performance from Heath Ledger. It was perfect in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I'm also excited to see what Jared Leto does with his Joker.
And
Probably
we will
more
see
excited about that than I am anything else. And I'm actually willing to give Ben Affleck a chance. Everything I have seen from him so far, uh, which by the way, the movie's coming out in 14 days. In a week, we will be getting season 2 of Daredevil. By the way, oh yeah, at some point in time, we need to discuss how they're gonna roll the Daredevil into the MCU at some point. But
I'm
anyway,
really excited for Daredevil. I cannot wait.
I'm very
I might
excited for
just
it.
marathon it. I might just marathon it.
See, I managed to get my mom into Daredevil. I told her how awesome it was. I was like, we need to watch it. She's like, okay. So my mom is actually kind of hooked on Daredevil. I don't know if she's interested enough to watch season 2. I sincerely hope she is, because I told her it's coming out. We need to watch it together. But I'm sure between then and now, like the next week or so, I'm actually going to finish what I'm currently been watching on Netflix, which is Mad Men. Oh my God. If you have not seen Mad Men, you need to watch it. It is, I mean, it's okay. Take Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is probably the best thing that's ever, EVER, been on TV, ever, in the history of all television. This is probably the best thing that's ever been on TV, okay? Like, I'm on season 3 of Breaking Bad, and initially, the first season's episodes were actually overly depressing. Like, I watched it and I was just kind of sad to be watching it, you know. But now it's picked, but now I'm on season 3, and I've only been like actually sitting down and watching it for well, okay, well, it's 26 hours, you know, for two like the 13 episodes, an hour each for each season. So I'm only a grand total of about a day actually into watching it, you know, like if you're going for the free episode time. But it's so good. It is so well done. It is uh intended to be a time capsule of the 60s. It's pretty much everything that you would expect from the show Vinyl, which is on HBO right now. But if you haven't watched Vinyl, take a chance and watch it. It's better if you watch it from the beginning, okay? Uh, but nothing in Mad Men is inappropriate for the 60s. There was fruit for several scenes that had to be pulled out because they were too large. And the pieces of fruit were too large and too shiny for the 60s because the fruit within was not treated. Everything down to the fucking ice cubes is appropriate. Like the ice cubes you see in hotels and restaurants is appropriate for hotels and restaurants. The ice cubes that you see in people's homes are what you would have seen in people's homes because most people actually had metal ice trays, and this is what you see.
I definitely want to watch it, if just for no other reason than Christina Hendricks.
Oh my god. Oh, dude, no. Please don't. Damn. Yeah.
That's my future wife. That's my future wife
Oh.
right there.
Damn it. Damn it. Um. See, the thing is, before watching it, I knew that she was beautiful. You know, like there's no question in my mind that she was just this insanely physically attractive woman. Watching the show, it's like seeing it's it's interesting. Because the clothes she wears are ones that fit like clothes in the 60s. You know, so she has on, you know, some tight clothes, and it emphasizes her figure, and she walks with this slight sachet and this roll of her hips, you know, and there's always a shot of her walking away from the camera, so it's very noticeable. Um, and of course, you know, she has a fairly hourglass shaped figure to begin with, so it's like you're overly emphasizing her, and then you add to that just you know her you know the breathy manner in which she talks is just oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Francine, these crocodiles. Oh my god.
I'm glad you approve of my future wife.
Seriously, everyone in Mad Men is amazing. Is amazing. I'm not gonna give spoilers. In fact, I might at some point in time, you know, like whenever you've watched it, we might have like an actual episode about it where we discuss it. But it's probably actually no. Let me phrase this. It's not as good as Breaking. I'm sure by the end it might parallel Breaking Bad for being the best thing on TV. But Mad Men is actually better than Walking Dead.
That's not saying much considering Walking Dead's later seasons.
Well, I mean, okay, like Walking Dead is
But
pretty. Is
we
pretty
should we should probably end the show now.
okay. Let me say this one thing. Walking Dead is good. It really is. But it's getting kind of boring. You know, and like a lot of it is getting really boring. I'm getting tired of watching. You know, the show. I mean, for example, my current favorite show is Shameless.
Got bored.
Do
I
what?
honestly got bored after the prison. After they left the prison, I honestly got bored.
It's actually kind of a hassle to watch it most of the time. Really, it really is. I'm sorry to say it because I still like the show. It's still a good show, and they're still capable of pulling off some things that are really interesting and surprising. But I mean, just it's taken as a whole, like the entire story that's being told this season. Sure, it's a pretty big plot line. It's a pretty involved plot line. It's an important plot line. But if you compare that to my current favorite show, which is Shameless, no, Shameless beats it episode by episode, hands down. Shameless is amazing. This is my favorite season of the entire series so far. It's holy shit. There are some good things on TV, and at some point in time we need to have a discussion about them. But yes, we're actually almost to 2 hours now. We're like an hour and 45 minutes or so. So I think this is probably a good point in time to actually take a break, or rather end the show. So
Yeah. So goodbye, everyone.
yep. Please remember to like this video, comment on it, share it, subscribe to the channel, like us on Facebook, tell Nick how much you hate him, and we will be back next week, probably Monday, talking about Dawn of Justice for sure. And I'm gonna try and get a hold of Brandon again and see if we can get him back on the show at some point in time, hopefully next week. But yeah, we will talk to all of you Monday.
Have a great weekend. I did. I said goodbye. I didn't. I said goodbye. Goodbye.
There you go. Bye, everybody.